All right, let's get started then. Let me just share my screen real quick. Okay, so welcome to MOI Builders number 5. Um, AI and Web3 are colliding a lot these days, and today I'm just going to be talking about how to build a real working NFT marketplace in MOI from completely scratch just by talking to an AI. We're not going to be using any pre-written code. There's nothing up my sleeve today. You're essentially just going to talk. You're going to plan. You're going to guide an AI agent on exactly how to build with MOI. And we've got some really interesting tools that help you do that. By the end of the session, you'll have minted an NFT and moved it between wallets, all live on chain. And but the real thing I want to really walk you through today is not the NFT itself, but the method, how you get AIs to build something for you correct and on chain. So let's go. Okay, so quick setup, quick frame before we build. Vibe coding means you stop writing code line by line, and you essentially describe what you want in plain English, and the AI agent writes it for you. And you steer, you check each step, and you correct course. You keep talking to the AI back and forth. You debug, and you make sure that it's aligned with your vision and your plan. The skill isn't typing anymore; it's knowing what to ask for and how. And this is the part that everyone misses, essentially what to feed the AI, what context. And this is exactly what, you know, separates a good AI developer versus a casual one. Knowing exactly what to feed and how to, talk to the agent. So um, here's a catch that nobody talks to you about. If you ask an AI to write any kind of MOI DevNet code, just cold, it's going to guess. It's going to invent method names. It's going to call APIs that don't exist and mixes up what the docs actually say. And you guys have probably experienced this yourself. If you leave an AI long enough alone, it hallucinates and it does so very confidently. We learned this the hard way in an early series where we hit a whole string of doc versus reality mismatches. And the fix is not just waiting for a smarter model. Like getting GPT-6 is not going to fix this issue. The fix is context. You give it a real reference point, and the same model that was hallucinating suddenly writes good code. You give it a good plan, and the same model that was creating like fake APIs and fake method names, it's suddenly writing good code. It's all about the plan and the context you give it. And that's essentially what the left side and the right side, chose. Without context, it's going to guess the SDK surface. With context, it's going to know the exact real SDK surface. It's going to invent method names versus using the correct signatures. So how do you hand an AI context? It's very simple. We have a framework called a skill, which is a very common, like very popular and up and coming framework that a lot of OpenClaw or a lot of any agent developer really uses. It's essentially just a folder of real references that the model has to read before it writes a single line. And today we're loading two because the build has essentially two halves. In the past, we've built with Coco, we've built with the JSMO SDK, and sometimes we've built with a combination of both together. So essentially, what we at the MOI team have built are agent friendly skills.empty documents that essentially teach the agent every single thing it needs to know before it starts developing on MOI. Now let me walk you guys through that real quick. So just want to say before we actually get into any development, we're going to be using Cursor today. Um, the reason I chose Cursor is because like you, I personally prefer Cursor, and you can actually see the code develop live as the agent does it. And you guys have probably vibe coded a lot yourself already, so there are chances that the AI is not going to be 100% perfect. So bear with me if I have to debug here and there a little bit. But for the most part, it's just a very simple project, so the session should be pretty smooth. And yeah, so it's an completely empty repo that I'm going to be building completely from scratch. First, we have the JSMO SDK skills, which is still being built, and this will be live very soon. I'm going to start off with the references. So Actually, no, let me start off with the skill.md. So every skills package is essentially a bunch of references as listed. So assets, concepts, identifiers. These are all different pieces of information that you want the AI to learn. But it's all encapsulated by one skill.md file, which is like the first reference point. And this essentially teaches the AI which reference to read if it's asked a particular question. So suppose we're asking about the MOI model, so accounts, sub accounts, it knows to go to concepts.md. If you're asking about reading the chain, RPC methods list, it's going to go to providers.md. And similarly for creating assets, locking up assets, like creating custom assets, that goes to assets.md. So skills.md is just like a pretty simple like initial reference point, and there are a lot of examples that the AI can go through that essentially facilitate this. And then we also have examples, which are work through examples for each concept. And yeah, so if you go into, for example, Assets R&D, something you guys are familiar with, it teaches the agent exactly what command to use um, in very, very specific detail when a user asks a particular use case or a particular question. So this is going to 10x your vibe coding experience by and make it so easy, so simple, just because you've removed the ambiguity from the AI's head and allowing it to essentially work off real information and real logic that it doesn't have to guess. So that's the JSMO SDK skills. I'm going to show you the Coco one real quick. So we have a bunch of Coco programs over here. We have four um, references for examples, and then we have a reference for the language basics, how to set up a language, you know, everything from collections, arrays. We have a doc for just native assets as well. Um, and we also have one for Coco Lab. So this is another easy way to essentially automate your testing process, which is also really, really helpful. Um, so yeah, I mean that's enough theory. There's a lot you guys can do with this. I've gone ahead and basically this is again a completely clean repo. The only prompt I've given it so far, just to save some time, is to I've just asked the agent to read the skill.md and its references folder before writing any code. So it's already done that. It's And I've also one more very helpful thing to do is, if you know what you're going to be building, make sure you essentially ask the agent to read the whole thing, but also focus on the specific files that you'd be accessing. But more on this in a couple of minutes. I'm going to get back to the slide deck real quick. So what we're going to be building today is a very simple application. I chose to keep it simple because once the foundation is built, once you guys actually understand how to make your vibe coding process easy, then there are a couple of different like branches you can take this from and build it yourself. But so yeah, let's actually use vibe coding to build something real, an NFT marketplace. And in this case, the marketplace is just going to be very simple. It's just going to be two moves: minting, so creating a unique token, and transferring it, so moving it between people. On most chains, that's going to be relatively heavy lift. On MOI, as we discussed before, an NFT is just a native asset. MAS1, so the protocol already owns, the bookkeeping and the accounting, and everything else is just policy. So yeah, I mean we've already abstracted the accounting process. Now we're even abstracting the policy by just making it accessible within simple English. So here's going to be the loop. Here's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to essentially run live. We're going to like run this whole thing live. I'm going to have a completely empty repo. First, I'm going to load the skills so the AI has real context. Then I'm going to give it a goal and have it set up a folder structure. And then I prompt the Coco logic, and then we mint. And we're also going to verify that everything shows up on chain. Then we're going to transfer it to a second wallet. And each step is a checkpoint. I've like we've already walked through this. So let me show you the same thing as a picture, then we do it for real. So yeah, load skills. We're gonna write the logic. We're gonna mint the NFT, see verify it on chain, and then transfer it to a second asset, all using just prompts. This is going to be just 4 to 5 prompts in total. And you know, like I said, there's a non-zero probability that the AI makes a mistake, and that we'll have to debug. But that's the whole, that's what that's what makes this process more like enjoyable, I guess. um, so yeah, without further ado, I'm gonna stop here for 30 seconds in case you guys have any questions about the setup. Okay, all right. I guess no questions for now. We can just get directly into it. And Yeah, so this is essentially the prompt I initially gave it. One caveat I want to mention is that cursor does really well if you mention at and then the file name, so it knows exactly what file you use. So if you do at you know skill.md for Coco, then it's going to read that effectively. Because it's already written, I'm not going to rerun it, but that's just a point of reference for you guys. And Yeah, let me just close this. So essentially, what I've asked it to do is we're building an NFT marketplace, a Cocolang MAS1 logic, JSMO SDK, DevNet, and um, we're essentially going to do mint transfer. And I've just asked the the agent to essentially read through everything, and yeah, and that's essentially what it's done. It's read through all the crucial points: how to mint on chain, how to transfer on chain, how to create an MAS1 like NFT logic. So the next step is, oh, it says the project is scaffolded. That's weird. Okay. Anyways, I just asked you to read it. This is the problem with AI. Sometimes it does more than ask for. But Yeah. So what I'm going to be typing here is, today our goal is to build a simple NFT marketplace um, that lets you mint and mint an NFT and transfer it to someone else. Now, before we write any code, first let's set up a file structure that um yeah, let's have a file structure with clear folders for contracts, deployment, which is going to be the SDK scripts, and then finally UI. Don't implement any logic, just yet, just scaffold the setup. Yep, there we go. And it's created that. So it's loaded the skills. We have a file for contracts, and it's already, see, the best part is it's already set up the coco.net file as well. So we don't have to worry about that. Um, and it's set up a, a place for the UI as well. So yeah, that's convenient. I mean, now we know exactly what's going to be going where. So that's step one complete, essentially setting up the file scaffold. Step two is going to be, and here's where we actually start the deployment. So we've finished loading the skills. Now we need to write the logic. So I'm going to tell write the Cocolang logic for an NFT collection as an MAS1 asset. Mint a token with per token metadata, um, which is going to contain name and image URI, track ownership per token ID, and implement a transfer routine. So this is a pretty basic MAS1 asset. If you guys don't know what NFT is, an NFT is essentially a token that can't be broken or can't be it's non-fungible. So I can only send you one full NFT or one of it or one of its kind. For example, an MAS0 asset you can split and send like zero point 0.6 to someone else. It's divisible, but an NFT is only valuable as its whole. Um, and the way it also works on Moi is that, for example, I'm an influencer and I want to create an NFT. I can create one asset collection, and then each asset can contain metadata that ties the NFT to you only. So make the metadata stored on chain tied to something that represents your like direct ownership. But yeah, so it's created the file. Let's quickly go over it. Yep, mas1.coco. Um, the best part about all this is you can ensure that 99% of the time it's going to be working well just um, because of these skills. It also teaches the agent how to natively test it itself. So the agent itself can spin up a terminal and run Coco Lab and test out the whole thing before it even gives you the code. But here you go. So you gotten Coco Asset MAS1. We've got our simple mint function, we've got a simple transfer function, and other like default functions that you need for uh, an NFT. So what I'm going to do over here first is I'm going to cd into NFT marketplace, cd into contacts slash mas1, and I'm going to hit Coco compile. Hopefully this works. Yep, there we go. Perfect. It works. It compiled well. And I know I've said this a couple of times, but before like when I first started developing on Moi, if I'd ask it to build a Coco contract without any of this context, just from some basic documentation, it would use like almost Python or JavaScript code for some of the methods it would make, and that's obviously really really bad. It's not going to be helpful. So yeah, so one thing I am going to change is I'm going to change the output format to JSON just because that's the default is it's always defaults to the YAML, but the like the format that you need to work with for uh, like for ease of SDK deployment is JSON. So I'm just going to run Coco compile again, and there we go. It's been fully compiled, and yeah, so that's essentially what we've done with the Coco contract itself. It's working, it's compiling, and the next step is to mint the actual NFT on chain. And so far we've only used one prompt, by the way, and we have a full logic running. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to tell it to write a JS MOI SDK prompt, not prompt, sorry, script to deploy this mas1.coco logic to the devnet. Um, and also, before we do that, one very important point you have to remember is before you do any kind of deployment, you always have to include your .env file. You have to include a file that essentially contains your mnemonic. So I'm just going to tell you to do that. Create a .env file and add its imports wherever required. Yep. So we got yep, it's within it's over here. Um yeah, it's created .env example as well. And what I have to do is quickly load my mnemonic. again, it's imperative that you guys don't give your mnemonic to AI agents just because of the fact that it's very easy for it to get leaked. Um, in this particular case, it's okay because we're still on DevNet, but in traditional sense, I would never show my mnemonic out loud or like in public or actually give it to an agent. I mean, putting in a .env file is exactly what you need to do. Never enter in the chatbot over here. Um, so yeah, essentially, what we've done is the next thing we're going to build is the mint.js file, and um, Cursor already knows that because that's how we set up the repo. So yeah, the next step is write a JS MOI SDK script that deploys. Oh, I'm not even typing. Yeah, I'm just gonna copy instead. Okay, so write a JS MOI SDK script that deploys this mas1.coco asset to DevNet and mints one NFT to the to the owner to the owner with a name and a dummy image URI. Um, print the interaction hash first, and then the token ID. Run it on the DevNet and show us the output. I was on this file. You see how quickly that went? Yeah, see, this is what I was talking about. The YAML manifest is uncoded 0x literals, switching to JSON. So I've chosen a pretty simple one again today just because we don't have to worry about like all the testing, but it's important to see what exactly it can do. So yeah, I mean, it says it's done. It ran a successful voyage on the successful run on the DevNet, and we can verify that by checking voyage. Yeah, operation successful 28 seconds ago. Um, Call side was mint. Here's the asset ID. This is the asset that we just created, the NFT. And then, yeah, I'm going to do it once again just to show you guys how easy it is. I'm going to CD out of this. I'm going to CD into deployment. And before I do that, let's walk through the code real quick to see what it's like. So, I mean, this is essentially the most important line. Get asset driver. This is one we use in the past as well to mint. The others are essentially just things that the AI is thought through and works. It doesn't necessarily have to be there. Um, Obviously, the second step of deployment, which I'm not going to cover today, or any kind of vibe coding, is to make sure that the code is actually lean and clean, which is always not the first output that it gives you. But for the time being, it gives you an output that does the job. So it loads the wallet from .env. It creates the asset using Asset Factory, which, yep, is there. And using Asset Driver, it mints to the owner. So it's going to give me like a Genesis number 0. And this is essentially the image URI. So whenever someone thinks about an NFT, they think about like a picture that the whole point of an NFT is like a piece of art uh, that only you own that particular iteration of it, right? And the part that makes it unique is the metadata itself. So the metadata is a combination of the name and the image URI for the most part. So where the image is actually stored. I'll show you guys an example at the end of this of another NFT like marketplace I built in the past. But all of the URIs are usually stored on like an IPFS provider, which essentially you can pull from using their API and connect to your wallet. But that's exactly what makes an NFT unique: the fact that this URI belongs to you and it's provable within cryptographic sense. And so now I'm going to do npm run mint. So when you create an asset versus minting it, you're creating an asset class. Like when it comes to NFTs, you're creating an asset class, and each mint is like a second version of that asset. So you have token ID 0, token ID 1, etc., etc. Let's verify that this interaction happened on chain. Yep, 28 seconds ago it's occurred. Yep, that's mint. And one more thing is you can actually tell the AI to do this or not do this depending on your preference. But um, a lot of the times the AI, like, or the agent writes you a script that helps run your deployments a lot easier. So normally I'd be running like node mint or JS, but it's giving me npm run mint, which runs it, it deploys it, and it gives me the output here as well, which is a lot more helpful. And the same script also saves the asset ID, because whenever you want to like create an NFT marketplace, you have to essentially mention the asset ID that you're transferring. It also it does that for you, so it's a nice feature to use here essentially. But yeah, so the next step is essentially the final, like, second last step. I'm going to ask it to write a JSMOI SDK script that transfers the minted NFT from the to owner to a second wallet. Same with print the hash. Um, oh wait, no print the hash here. I'm gonna say yeah. So print the hash and show the new owner of the asset. Um, Run it and confirm that ownership has has moved. Um, and I'm gonna also mention who the asset sender is. So sorry, the receiver. So send it to this following address. Now I'm going to pull up transfer.js and let's just see how quickly this runs. Yeah, see, that was really quick. So a lot of what the AI also has built is a lot of like checks based on fuel, checks based on ownership, and these are all part of the same script that we've asked you to do. But effectively, the main logic It's just, I mean, you have this, which is the main, one of the most important ones, a lot the wallet creation, and then yeah, here's the transfer. This is essentially the main part of the program. So what I'm going to do is we're already in deployment. I'm going to oh, it's all, yeah, it says it's already confirmed the transfer. So I'm going to check on the receiver's wallet now. Okay, and that's interesting. It says failed interaction. Let's check that out. So I'm going to run npm run mint. So the mint is going to be successful. So creating a new token, a new asset. So I've essentially done node source.transfer .js of this address. Now it confirms the token ID is 0, interaction hash is this, sender still owns the token, recipient owns token is equal to true, and new owner is this address. Now, it's not we're not done just yet. Let's confirm if this actually went through. Yep, there we go. Finalize interaction. Yep, perfect. And so that transfer has been facilitated. I guess the previous failed interaction we saw would have been while the AI was building your code, it would have oh, this is actually 37 minutes code, but while it was building the code, it might have actually just uh, it might have tested on its own and found out that it failed. So that's also another possibility. Also, the same transfer should show up over here. This is the sender. Yep, it's working. And keep in mind, if I run this again, it's not going to work. Just because yeah, it's not going to work just because yeah, I'm only minting one token at a time, one asset at a time. So if I transfer it, it's not going to like the receive sender is not going to have anything to transfer. So yeah, I mean, now we've seen how to create an asset using AI, how to mint it and deploy it, how to transfer it, and the last thing we're going to do is like it's actually the thing that brings everything together. Um, what I'm going to be building is so now that we've built the logics, the deployment scripts, build me simple UI that allows allows me to click a button and mint an asset and also enter an address and transfer my token to. So since this is the last bit of the session today, if any of you guys want me to transfer the token to you, if you know in 5 6 years down the line the token might be worth like $100,000. So if any of you guys want to be part of the session, just drop your public address on the chat and I'll transfer the token to you and we can actually verify that it's worked. Okay, it built the UI real quick. Any takers for the public address? Anyone wants to send their address? Kishore, Abrar, or Sanjay? CD into UI and then npm run dev. Yep, see, very simple UI. You can mint an NFT and transfer your asset there. So I'm gonna wait 1 minute and see if any of you guys want to, get free tokens, or else I'm just gonna simulate the transfer on my own. Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Sanjay. Awesome. Thank you, Sanjay. So I'm copy pasting your public address and hitting transfer NFT. Oh, you have not minted it yet. Yep. Okay. I've minted it. Now I'm going to transfer it to your address, and just keep an eye on the Explorer and confirm if you've received the asset. Okay. It says it's gone through. I'm going to check Voyage, and you also let me know. You can do this parallelly. Yep. According to my Voyage, it's gone through. Um, should be the same. Lovely. Awesome, Sanjay. Thank you so much for that. Um, and just remember, in 5, 6 years down the line, because you were here in this one of the earliest ones in this session, that token could be worth a lot. So just keep that handy. Um, so yeah, I mean, let's just wrap up the session. Essentially, the real skill isn't the code. Um, it's making sure you articulate exactly what you need to be articulating, and giving the AI the right context. And it's also important that you don't give it like a whole lot of information that can confuse it. You you have to act as the director, the guide, the tour guide. Essentially, you give it the right context, and you point it to which particular part of the context that you wanted to act on, like which particular part of the skills you wanted to act on. Ask you to read it, ask you to load it into its memory, and then step by step go through the process and have it build exactly what you wanted to build. I found that being patient with the agents is the most helpful thing you can do, because if you ask it to just, if I did this whole thing with just one prompt saying build an NFT marketplace, it probably would have faced some trouble. But going through it step by step is probably what helped it the most. And yeah, so last couple of things. So now it's your turn. Same thing as usual. You just have to, if you mint and transfer your own NFT asset, what we built so far, you get 500 KMOI. If you add images and like a proper sell flow as an NFT marketplace, you're gonna get a lot more tokens as a bonus. The form is listed below here as well. And one more thing also wanted to point out is last week we had a bounty for a gift card for the person who comes up with the best idea for a decentralized exchange. If I haven't shared the repo with you, just let me know and I'll share it. But that $15 gift card bounty is still available for you guys, and it's just for best submission. So if whoever wants to claim their gift card, an Amazon gift card, please go ahead and send me your best idea. And if I still haven't shared the GitHub with you, that's on me. I will send it again. Just let me know about that. But that's about last week's bounty. And in general, if you guys have any questions about any of the bounties, there's no real deadline for it. But the sooner you do it, the better you can make use of the following sessions. But again, this session's bounty is very simple. I'm going to give you guys the skills. I'm going to give you guys the both the JSMOI skills and the Coco skills, and you just got to build out a very simple mint and transfer flow. For the gift card bounty, try to make it as intuitive. Like, try to explain your thinking more than anything else, because I've not essentially that project is not something that you have to build, but something that you have to um, uh, essentially think about and explain the design and also build it eventually. Yeah, bro, I did go through your bounty. Since you bounty two, since you were the only submission, you've automatically won that one. So congratulations on that. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Those are the three updates for the bounties. Any questions? You know where to reach me. Just one last thing I want to show you guys. Sorry to keep you waiting, but this is something I built last year. Um, and this is also like a very simple NFT marketplace. Oh, yeah, this is also not very simple. This is a pretty fun NFT marketplace. I really enjoyed working on this project, and this is fully vibe coded. The only difference is when I built this, I didn't necessarily have the skills document. So this took me 3 days to build. But now, because I know what packages to use, I know how to use the skills. The actual MOI logic of this is very, very simple. So you can see I've already connected my wallet on there. The whole point of this is essentially, you have monkey NFTs from different parts of the world. This image URI is all of the images over here. The URIs are hosted on IPFS. So it's anytime you mint an NFT, um, it's going to locally attach to your wallet address. You can enter your name, which also adds to your metadata. So that's how it's effectively yours. So um, you know like, I know some of you calling in from Bangalore, so there's one for Bangalore, one for Chennai. uh, I don't think I've made one for Hyderabad yet, but that's one we can make in the future. But this is essentially all vibe coded, and this is something that you guys can do yourself, and make it your own product. Essentially, it's very easy. It's so simple to build some app of this kind of quality. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. Let me know if you guys have any more questions, and yeah, that's it from my side. I'm gonna hang around for another 30-40 seconds in case you guys want to clarify any bounty details. But as always, you can reach me on WhatsApp. And thank you guys so much for joining this session. Yeah, Abra, I did go through your submission, and like I said, since you're the only submission for that, you automatically won that bounty. So you're referring to the best use case of agents, right? I did see that. Yeah, thank you for that. Also, please don't call me sir. I feel like we're almost the same age. Okay, all right. I'm gonna end the session then. Thank you so much for joining, guys. I hope you have a great weekend and see you next week.